Hey everyone, and welcome to the Learning Ladder. I thought I'd do a quick update as to how the year started, and also a bit of a life update as well, because it'll explain some of the content that I'll be posting in the next little while. So the year has gone off to a great start. We are loving Dragon Academy. I'm so happy, because when you make something, you spend so long making something like I did. There's always that, oh, what if it's a complete flop and we hate it? And you know, it would have been fine. It's just one of those things, but thankfully it's been going so well. So how we started our year, well, I'll explain why we started the way we did. So we started back well, a few days before we started back to school. We'd gone out for a nice little last day of summer meal, and the restaurant where we'd gone to, they weren't letting you sit inside because they were painting, and I thought that's the most bizarre thing. Why would you paint, you know, during opening hours? But okay, whatever. They said, oh, there's a nice grass verge over there. People are taking their food out there, and it was, you know, it was just like a sandwich kind of place, so it's fine, you know, it'd be fun anyway. Let's go have a little picnic. But because we weren't prepared to have a picnic, we didn't have a blanket or anything, so we just sat on the grass. I sat down for about 5-10 minutes, and then I suddenly felt like something bit my ankle. So I got up and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go back to the car. We'll just finish, you know, eating in the car, because we'd almost done anyway. And that night my leg was so itchy, the most itchy it's ever been, and I was putting, you know, antiseptic on and stuff like that. And then the next day I suddenly started getting a blister where the bite was, and then the blister grew and it grew and it grew, and I posted a picture actually in my community tab before it was even bigger than that. It grew, I'd say, twice the size of it was in that picture, and then overnight it popped because I accidentally obviously banged my other leg against it and it popped. So I was thinking, okay, well that should be the end of it, but no, it wasn't. Once it actually popped, and the blister, because of how full it was, took so much of my skin when it came off with it, so I was left with, it looked like a burn. It looked like I really badly burnt my leg or something. And because obviously it took so many layers of skin, it was weeping constantly. It was horrible. So that was how it was the last couple of days before we went back to school. So that was not fun. So I had these special plasters that I bought because regular ones weren't working. They'd be soaked in like 2 seconds. So I got these special healing ones that actually did a really pretty good job. Actually, I would get those again if it ever happened again. I'm prone to getting bitten by things. I must just taste nice, I don't know, but it was only me that got bit that day, thankfully. So that was a fun, not so fun start to the new school year. But by the time we'd gone back, you know, it was just mostly not too bad. It was just still weeping, but I had the dressings on and everything. It's fine now. It's stopped weeping completely, except it still looks like I've got a burn. You know, if you burnt yourself on the oven quite, you know, considerably in terms of a few layers gone, it takes a while. So I've just got this circular exact circle which looks really weird, mark on my ankle, where you can tell obviously it looks like I've been burnt, and it's hopefully going to heal and the skin will grow back hopefully eventually. So that was not fun. But then we decided to do a slow start anyway for the first week. So we did we went back to school on the Friday. We did our fun activities that I mentioned in a previous video, and then we started back on the Monday, and we were going to originally do all the curriculum from the beginning, but my daughter started to feel sick on the Sunday. Just, you know, cold symptoms, typical for this back to school season, I find. They're always, I don't know, I think when all the kids go back to school, they suddenly start spreading the germs, and so she obviously picked up something. So for that first week we just did language arts and maths and some art and, you know, bits and bobs like that. We didn't go full force into our curriculum, just while she was feeling better. She wasn't sick enough to not do anything, but she also wasn't, you know, ready to do, you know, full subjects. So it took her about a week though to feel better. Thankfully no one else got it, so just one of those things. And then the following week we started back with everything, and that's when we started with Dragon Academy. So in theory we've only done actually 1 week of everything with Dragon Academy included, but it's been so good and we've absolutely loved it. So in terms of what we've been doing for Dragon Academy, I've pretty much just been following the schedule. I haven't really changed much in terms of the order or anything. So I have actually done our schedule, which I'll show you in an upcoming video of how we fit it all in. But basically with Dragon Academy we're reading the first book, Wings of Fire again. This is Clay's book, and Then we've got our different language arts activities that go along with that. So we've got our scrolls, there's a helium balloon floating away, the scrolls, and our chapter questions that go along with the language arts. And then we've also, for this specific, basically there's 3 different language arts projects in addition to the questions and the scrolls that go along with the language arts portion of Dragon Academy. And for the initial one, we're doing the Usborne sci-fi and fantasy writing book, which will then lead her on to her first writing project, which will be her sci-fi or fantasy. She's chosen fantasy. Not really surprised, it's a story that she'll write for the first term. First term. And so that's for her language arts. We've also been doing chemistry. So we started back with the what is that thing called? I can't think of the brand name now. I can't think of the curriculum company name. It's Kitchen Chemistry by Nomad Press. That's it. I know it would come to me eventually. So we've been doing that. We've never used any of Nomad Press books before, but it's been going well this week. We've really enjoyed it. So it's just been the first chapter, so intro to chemistry, and at the end there was a notebooking activity. I'd paired some videos to go along with it, so we've been watching those to go with. And then we've had our kitchen science cookbook and our science experiments you can eat for extra science experiment activity, because my daughter loves doing them. So this week we did the red cabbage indicator test, which is always a fun experiment, so she had lots of fun doing that. We've been doing our elements, which is part of Dragon Academy, our elements book. So we've been using the Scholastic periodic table book and filling out our element sheet. So far we've done silver and gold this week, so she's been really enjoying that. And it's been fun to learn all about these different elements and we know what they actually do. And she's been quite shocked to find out some of the uses of them, which I think is always fun and interesting for her. We've been doing our art. So we do Dragon Academy art, which is a dragon and fantasy creature book that I got that we've been using. And then we also do a curriculum art 1 day a week, which is, I haven't actually done a flip through. Someone did ask me to do it and I have got it on my list to do. It's Brenda Ellis art curriculum. It has video lessons as well, not for every single project, but for scattered throughout there are video lessons. So we watched the first video, which was all about sketching outlines, and then she got to do her own, and then obviously she's doing her own dragon art. I like that because I feel like you have your instruction with the Brenda Ellis curriculum, but then she's also got her own way of expressing herself and her own methods and preferred mediums and everything with the Dragon Fantasy book, because although it shows you how to draw the different creatures, she can draw them however way she'd like. So I like that. So she's got the flexibility of both a bit of instruction but also some opportunity to let your creative juices flow, I guess. So we've been really enjoying that, and we started our geography for China, for Dragon Academy. So we were learning all about different facts about China today. We watched a video which was really, and for our IT that in relation to Dragon Academy, it's coding with Python, and again we've just been loving it. So our first week of Dragon Academy down and we're really enjoying it, so that is fantastic. Everything else in terms of our other curriculum, so Saxon, learning language arts through literature, is all going great too, because it's something we've always used before anyway. Well, not always for learning language arts through literature, but for Saxon anyway, so that's nothing new. It's not a new system to learn or anything. So yeah, first 2 weeks down, great. We're doing well. So I'll definitely do these updates periodically and let you know how we're getting on with Dragon Academy. Tomorrow is our first day on our schedule where we are going to do our unit study, which is an addition, and for this term we're going to do Harry Potter. So we haven't done that yet, so I can't let you know how that is going to go yet, but we're going to be doing so tomorrow I've got 3 different Harry Potter units. But it's just one of those things, I didn't know which one I wanted, so I'm going to initially start off tomorrow with the Barefoot in the Trees one, and we're going to see how we like that one first. So I'm going to get her Harry Potter letter out. Actually, I should do that now. Once I finish doing this video, get the Harry Potter letter out ready. I've already put it in an envelope, so I just need to write a name on. So I'm going to present that to her, then we'll read the however many pages we need to read and go through the first activity. So that's going to be fun. I'm excited to see how we like that. But I've got a ton of videos I need to film. It's just finding the time to do it, and I'm going to explain why I have been so busy since we've gone back to school. Not because necessarily of school, because obviously that's priority and I always make sure I've got plenty of time for that, but in terms of my free time, because we have big news. So we are planning to move. It wasn't initially going to be the plan. So if you know, over the summer I painted, and I don't know why I decided I had to paint. I just had this feeling that I needed to paint. It needed doing anyway, but I just had this additional feeling that I needed to paint for some reason. More so than just, oh, it's not been done for a couple of years, I need to do it scenario. Little did I know. So I'm sure a lot of people are in the same position, and I'm actually going to do a separate video about this because it relates to a different topic. But our mortgage fixed rate finishes this year. So in case you don't know, which I'm sure it's probably similar everywhere, the mortgage rates have gone up so much here. So our mortgage in theory will double. Not in theory. In actual fact, it will double come the month when it finishes. Which is not good, because we're shared ownership, and that means that we own half of the property with a mortgage, and then a housing association owns the other half, and we have to pay rent to them. So not only will our mortgage double, but we'll still have to pay the rent as well. Now, in the past, it's always been the case of, should we buy the extra half of our house or should we move? And it's always been this, I don't know what to do scenario. We don't want to, this is not our forever home, so it was never because we don't want, like, the area, we want to be more rural. We have the dogs, so, you know, we like doing the country walks and the ocean, and yes, we can travel to the ocean and the mountains, but it's quite far. You know, it's a good couple of hours to get to either of those things from where we are. So we knew this was never going to be our forever home. But because the fact of the mortgage rates going up sooner than what we'd anticipated, our initial thought was, we'll buy the rest of the house out, because working out how much the mortgage would be plus the rent of the new rates, it would work out the same. So we may as well just own the whole thing and not be paying someone else's rent to go towards their mortgage, or if they've even got a mortgage. But you know what I mean, if we're going to be paying the same amount, we may as well as own the whole thing and just pay the mortgage that's actually going to benefit us. So we thought, okay, we'll do that, and then in a couple of years we'll then sell. So we had to go through this whole process of getting the house valued to see how much their half was worth. And I'll talk about this because I'm going to make a video all about shared ownership, because I don't think enough people talk about this, because these are things I never even, I wouldn't say not thought of, but I don't think it's explained enough when you purchase a shared ownership property, that you're going to face these challenges in the future, and I just don't think people know enough about it. So in our case, the price difference from what we bought it from 10 years ago to now was a big shock. So how much they wanted us to pay for their share. So it worked out that if we bought their share, that we'd use up all the equity that we've got in our house currently, which we've been paying off with our half of the mortgage. And for a house that you know you don't want to live in forever, that just didn't seem like a good idea. So we've decided that we are actually going to try and sell. So we have to do another survey now. So every time you have to pay, which I think is not something that you are made aware of enough when you start. So we had to pay initially to have their survey done, and now we have to pay again to have our survey done, so we can determine the value of our share. And it's not just like where you own your own house and you go to the estate agent, and the estate agent comes around and gives you a valuation, and then that's how much you list it for, and then the person decides if they want to buy it. It's not like that at all if it's shared ownership, and it's something that you need to be aware of if you're thinking about that. I don't regret buying the shared ownership opportunity at all, because we would never have been able to afford it to have gotten on the property ladder, I guess, because of the fact of how much renting was. So we were paying, before we even got this house, more for just rent. So there was no way we could save for a deposit or anything like that. The only reason we managed to get this house is because my husband was made redundant. He got a payoff, so we used that payoff for the deposit of the new house, of the shared ownership. Otherwise we would never even been here. So I don't regret it at all. I do think it's a great opportunity for people to get onto the property ladder, but it's something you need to think about if the house is not where you want to stay for a long period of time. I mean, we've been here 10 years, so I guess we have stayed here quite a long time. But if you know in a couple of years you want to move, then I don't think shared ownership is necessarily the way to go. Or if you think perhaps that like in our situation, it's not going to be your forever home, you've got to watch about how much this price increases. Something to consider. Anyway, so we got, like I said, we got the price back of how much they wanted, and it was ridiculous. So we thought, okay, we're going to list it for sale, but we need to do this whole procedure before we're even allowed to do that. So the first thing is to get a valuation to see how much our share is worth. We're hoping our share is going to be slightly more than their share, hopefully, but we'll see. That would be ideal for us because obviously we need to be able to move and prices are high everywhere. So we'll find out. Our valuation is being done next week, but I'm definitely going to do a video about shared ownership and our experience with it, because I think it's something I would have liked to have seen had I you know, back in time before we did this, to know what happens in the future, because at the time you're just so excited about, oh, I'm going to own my own house, I'm not going to have to deal with rental agencies and landlords, and I can change the paint, and you know, I can have a dog, and these are the things that you think about. You don't think about necessarily what happens when I want to buy the rest of it, or what happens when I want to sell my share. So that's why I'm going to make the video. So if you're wondering why there's suddenly this video about shared ownership, that's why. So yes, so the thing that's most exciting is about where we're moving to, or hoping to move to. So I've already found 2 houses that I absolutely love, but because they're in a different part of the country, I can't actually make any offer because the legal system is different. So to where we live to where the houses are, you have to there's a completely different process. You have to have separate solicitors, so you have to have a solicitor in the country you live in, the solicitor where you want to move to, so it's a whole thing. So all I've been doing in my free time is sorting out someone to value the house. I've been sorting out someone to do our energy certificate that we have to do, our energy performance certificates, because they only last 10 years, so ours expires. I needed to find someone to do that. I needed to find solicitors in where we live and where we're thinking of moving to, and it's just been, all my free time's been taken up with that, because you know, when you move, it's a life-changing thing for a reason, because of all the things that goes into it. So I found, like I said, there's 2 areas where we're looking at, and I found a house in both of the areas which we love, but we can't put offers in because we have to sell ours first. So I don't mean sell as in literally have moved out. We just need to have gotten to the point where we've had an offer received and accepted, and you know, the process has started. Because normally, if we were buying where we live now, all we would need to do is say our house is up for sale, can we make an offer? And they'd say yes normally, and then you know, they just have to wait. It's a chain. They just have to wait until we'd sold ours, and then they could obviously make an offer on wherever they wanted to move to. So it's a chain, but where we're moving to, they don't do that. They don't do chains. So or hoping to move to, I should say. So you have to literally it's weird, and I'll talk about it more in the next, probably not this video, but the one in probably not the shared ownership video, but in the future video where I talk about you know, the moving process and everything. But the way they do it is actually really good because it's so much faster. So here it can take 12 weeks plus in terms of exchanging contracts and everything, but there people can move in as little as 10 days. It's crazy. It's exciting crazy, but it would be amazing if that happened to us. So in terms of someone bought our house, say it was like, it would be a first time buyer because it had to be in order to meet the criteria for shared ownership. So say they could do it in 6 weeks, which would be amazing, then potentially it could take, our purchase of the new house could take days, and then we could move, you know, within 7 weeks. It would be amazing. But you know, in for Christmas would be so cool. But anyway, although I absolutely love the 2 houses, I can't set my heart on either of them because we haven't even got a buyer yet. We're not even on the market yet, but that's hopefully all going to be next week. So we have to do the valuation, then the estate agent has to come take pictures, and then we can be listed. So it's exciting and also scary and stressful, and not stressful in a bad way, just there's a lot to think about and stuff. So all my free time, that's why you've not been seeing videos, all my free time has been spent dealing with, you know, millions of emails. I feel like I've emailed about 30 times more than I normally want to. So yeah, it's just been a lot, but it's exciting. And you know, where we want to move to, they're not extreme as in, well, let's take it back. They are extreme compared to where we live, but they're not extreme as in the 2 places aren't overly different than each other. It's just how you get to them. I'm not going to say anything anymore because I don't want to tempt fate, and you know, we don't get either of the houses, but it would be so cool and so exciting and amazing if we can get either one of them. Yeah, anyway, I'll talk about it in a future video. But yes, that is what's going on. So you might see some house stuff coming up in terms of, like I said, shared ownership videos and moving videos and stuff like that, which is going to be fun because I'm excited. And we've lived here for 10 years, so although my daughter has lived in another house, because we lived in our previous house for a year, we moved in here when she just turned 1, literally a couple of weeks earlier. This is the only house she's ever known, so, but she is excited and she wants to move to the rural area too, so that's good. But yeah, it'll be fun, and definitely a life-changing thing, particularly if we move to one of the places, because, well, it's very, very different in terms of what we're used to, but different good. And you only live once. You have to be adventurous and you have to try things. So what the estate agent said to me when I told her about where we were thinking of moving to, she was like, well, you only live once, you're young enough still, and you know, to do this, why not? And you know, that's the way I feel about it too. You know, you got to try something, you got to try sometimes to do something different, out of your box, out of your comfort zone. And sometimes that really pays off. Sometimes it doesn't, in which case obviously you can sell and move back, but I think we'd love it. So I wouldn't do it otherwise, but it's exciting. Anyway, so that's everything. So I think that's all for now. I've got the other stuff that I need to do. So take care. I will definitely get to those flip throughs. I know someone wanted to do Saxon, someone wanted me to do the art curriculum. I also want to do a couple of our writing programs that we're using, flip through of those. So yes, I'll get to it as soon as I can. Things will quieten down once everything's listed, because then it's just a case of obviously tidying up when people come round. But you know, it's not having to make all these different phone calls and emails and everything, apart from obviously once we get an offer, and then in which case it's going to be, we need to hurry up and make offers too. But that's exciting as well, and particularly if we can get one of the 2 houses I really like. So fingers crossed. And I will see you in our next video. Take care. Bye for now.